So, you're 85 years old. You have a million stories, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Why don't you try to tell my viewers of all the days you went fishing, what was one of your favorite, and I know it's hard to think back because you've been doing this so long, but what was one of your favorite days of going fishing?
Oh, there's so many
Right.
days, but one that everybody keeps talking about is back in the pier days again. Here we go back to there.
Yeah, I know this story, but I want you to tell them.
I don't know if you know this one, but we were notorious for a half-day run in the morning and albacore folks in the afternoon, which is unheard of now. Nobody's ever heard of it. We fished, got limits of yellowtail every morning with 60 people, come back to the pier, offload those people, put on some more people. We did have it down to a limit of 30-ish, 40 or whatever it was, and head for the albacore grounds, where at times were the only boat out there to be the Westerner out of Newport Landing, and not on Newport Landing, it was out of Newport Pier, Jimmy Schaefer, and we'd be the backside of San Clemente Island in the afternoon sometimes. That's 50 miles, so we'd run all the time. But anyway, this day, we were just, you can still see the end of the San Clemente Pier, as clear as clear, and we got a strike on albacore, and we caught over 200 fish still looking at the beach. It's a story though, it's hard to believe, but it was fantastic fishing. Some of the best fishing I've ever seen, as far as albacore is concerned. But that's one of the stories I love to tell, because it's, there's a gentleman the other night was talking about it. He was on the pier and his parents said he could go fishing, but they didn't tell him he could have to go albacore fishing. Thought he was bass fishing, but he came back with albacore.
But he was a little kid. He was telling the story at the CCA meeting the other night. He's a little kid, and you kept him out till 10 o'clock at night. Back then, there was no communication. His parents were losing their minds. They had no idea where he was. This is a half-day trip that's supposed to get in at 5 o'clock or something. Get in at 10 o'clock at night with a bunch of albacore.
Well.
And then if you don't, I think you think, look, 40 years ahead, I was running the Seahorse, and we were fishing that yellowfin, and I was doing the same thing you were doing, but I was doing it in the 90s, and coming in, going out 10 to 3 half day, and getting in at 9 o'clock at night with a bunch of yellowfin tuna. So history does repeat itself. I do have what you got. We love to fish. And what's our favorite fish to catch, Pops?
Calico bass.
We love fishing calicos. On my day off, I fished calicos. Last year, my dad told me, he said, hey, I want to go catch a bass. So we grabbed your good friend, Bobby Fletcher. We grabbed the General, and we went out bass fishing, and you caught a bass.
Yeah, I didn't want to catch too many, but...
They were biting.
Yeah, they were biting.
Fletcher must have caught 50.
Yeah,
He was like a little kid in a candy store.
Fletcher knows how to fish.
But, hey, these are guys that have been fishing albacore, tuna, bluefin their whole lives. But what's their favorite thing to do? Go
Catch
calico
calico
bass fishing. The one reason why we all love to catch calico bass is because it's a super talent fish, no matter if you believe it or not. You got to know how to cast your bait. Then if you're fishing rocks, you got to be able to pull on them hard enough to get them out of the rocks. And if you're not, you're fishing kelp, you better know how to get them out of the kelp. So when I hear people go, oh, is all we're going to catch today is calicos? I'm like, you don't like to fish. And I mean, think about it. If you don't like to catch calico bass, then you probably don't have the passion to fish them like we do. Frank Lepresti will tell you the same thing. I've heard him say it many, many times. He loves calico bass fishing. That's what we all grew up doing. Frank Lepresti, I mean, how many giant tuna has he seen?
Oh, yeah. That calico bass is the key to if you love to fish. The challenge of trying to catch one is when they're not biting. That's what the fun part. If they're biting, anybody can catch them. If they're not biting, then it's a real challenge. That's where the challenge comes in, with using the rubber baits or the other artificial baits, but picking the right bait out of the bait tank and pinning it on and going out there with the right tackle or catching it. That's the challenge. And when a tuna bite, seriously, anybody can catch one.
Right.
But calico bass are very, it's fun. It's just a lot of fun. Now, the 50 years in the harbor, we've seen a lot of changes. A lot of things have happened. But the ocean conditions drive this fishery, as we all know, and it goes up and down and up and down. But you and I, and before we wrap up this whole lifetime history here, which, I've been working with fishery management for the last 40 years with the federal government, longer than that now. I worked with the state of California on fishery issues. The number one issue that we all have, and we'll never bite the bullet and talk about it, the conditions of the ocean would get 100% better if we could manage, just manage, I didn't say eliminate them, manage the sea lion problem that we have in the ocean. It is absolutely, unbelievably, even trying to get the environmentalists, most of them understand the problem, but they don't want to address it either because it's such a touchy subject. But at my 85 years of age, I know what causes 90% of the problem. It's very difficult for a young person to go fishing, catch a fish of their lifetime, and have a sea lion take it off the end of the hook. And it's, their whole attitude on a sea lion changes right then and there when that fish is stolen from them. These sea lions they have to survive too, but I mean, God, there's so many of them now. They're protected under the Marine Mammal Protection Act. And somebody's got to have to do something about it. I don't know who's going to do it, but I hope somebody has got the balls or the guts or whatever you want to call it to say that enough is enough, and we try to correct it. Thank you.
But like you said, the number one thing that's out of control here in California, but it goes all the way to Alaska, and it's getting really bad in Cabo, and all the islands in Mexico are just covered up with these animals, these sea lions, because of the fact that they have nowhere to go because the population's so overwhelmingly out of control. The swing of the pendulum is swung so far over to the wrong side for these animals. Even if you care about them, you would want to do something because of the overpopulation and the disease and the things that are being caused. Just the destruction of property. We won't even talk about fish. Let's just pretend like you have some docks in Dana Point Harbor, for example. Let's just pretend like you own a few docks in Dana Point.
I do.
Okay? Oh, you do. And if I went down there tonight with a couple of sledgehammers and a couple of buddies and we started beating the crap out of your docks, what would happen to us?
No, you'd be in trouble, but...
You think we go to jail?
No, yeah.
But if the sea lion, who's down there right this very split second, destroying the Helena dock, some fun dock, if he gets a splinter, what's going to happen?
They'll have rescuing. Yeah, we know that. We know what's going on.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
People don't really understand.
Well, we have an issue with on the forage fish now, with the management company, with the federal government management of Pacific Fishery